What's up, everybody? So I just want to do a quick video on the different kinds of cuts you can do on specifically the pink oyster mushroom block and how it affects yield. I'm going to get the cuts on the blocks, show you them, and I guess what I think about each cut, and I'll give you my predictions of what blocks will do the best and why. This is in terms of the first yield off each one of these 10-pound fruiting blocks, and we'll go from there, and we'll see in the next should be about 5 days to 7 days. Pink oysters, they fruit very rapidly. Sorry if there's a little background noise, but here's the tent here. And we'll go ahead, we'll see what happens and what block will end up fruiting the most off the first flush. Keep in mind that I am going to cut these a little bit different of a way, putting these blocks, exposing the majority of their body. And we're going to do bigger cuts. So here we have our cuts. The first cut is just a simple big X in the block. Then we have this guy over here. It's a big U. You can kind of tell where that mark is. All the way around. I'm going to let the mushrooms go ahead and push the plastic off of the block, and this is just one big open square that I've cut, and I'm going to keep that on there because a lot of moisture will be lost from the block. I mean, it is going to stay humid in here, but you know, leaving it on will keep a micro environment of moisture within this block. And then here we have just a bunch of different crazy X's and slices, so kind of random all the way through. As you can tell, the top isn't really the best colonized, but down here is alright. And I want to get to that in another video of overhydrating blocks and how to tell if they're overhydrated. But we'll see which one yields the most. In my opinion, the highest yielding block is going to be the probably the one with the U, just because it has a really nice flap over it, and it'll create a nice microclimate in there. Not really exposed that much to the block, and I think the pink oysters will have enough surface area. I think it's really about surface area, the most surface area, which also, you know, it might be a close second with this guy, or this guy might take over. But also this has these nice flaps, also providing a nice moisture microclimate. So we'll see what happens. Alright, so it's been about 3 days, maybe 3.5 days since we cut the blocks and introduced them to light, humidity, and you know, fresh oxygen through our ventilation. And yeah, we're going to take a look at what's gone on so far, and what so far looks like it's going to give us the best first flush yield. So here we have it. We have the simple X block. As you can tell, there is kind of some little pinheads popping up inside the flap. But really, it's where we cut the X. So that's another thing I wanted to mention is, I mentioned before, the disturbance of mycelium. I know a lot of people like to scrape their blocks with forks after they cut their X, and they'll just lift the flap up and then go ahead and scrape it. And what that does is basically just disturbing the mycelium promotes growth, apparently. We're gonna put that to the test and actually see if that is how it works, and if mushrooms actually like that, or it provides no benefit. So we'll do another test on that. But I'll show you, we have our X block. Basically where we cut the X is where the pink oyster mushroom pinheads have been popping up. Here we have our U-shaped cut, and it's really just growing around the U. So yeah, nothing in the middle here. I don't know if that's because there's no oxygen really being able to get there, but it seems like it's just creating a nice moisture microenvironment. So it's surprising to me why that didn't work, and I've been growing for a little while. Here we have our pad. So basically, like, then again, where we cut our X's, I mean where we cut our square here is where the mushrooms are popping out. And then here we have the crazy cut where we cut a lot of different holes, and we did scrape a lot of the mycelium up. Disturbance in the mushroom block, promoting more pinheads and getting a bigger first flush. So there you have it. We have a bunch of pink oyster mushrooms. I think this will yield the most. We have even all these little tiny ones in there as well. So I think the more disturbance on the block, the better. I think that's gonna win, but we'll weigh everything out and we'll see what gives us the best yield. And here we have day 5 and what the pink oyster mushrooms look like. And here we have day 7, the day of harvest and weighing these pink oyster mushrooms. So what mushrooms yielded the most? Here we have our chart. You can see that there is 4 different mushroom cuts on the left, and then we have the progression of days on the top. So day 3, day 5, and day 7, and a picture of each cut. Our first cut, the standard X cut, finished with a yield of 2 pounds, 3 ounces. Our second cut, the U cut, finished with a yield of 2 pounds, 5 ounces, just a little more than the X cut. Our third cut, the box cut, finished the same as the first cut with a final yield of 2 pounds, 3 ounces. Our fourth cut, the cut disturbing the most mycelium on the block, the crazy X cut, finished with a final yield of 2 pounds, 10 ounces, making it the best cut for the pink oyster mushroom block. I do want to mention that on our fourth block, the pink oysters seem to have aged a little faster than the others. That could have been because it was a more mature block. But nonetheless, disturbing more mycelium in the block will give you more fruiting bodies. Our second best option would be the U cut. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully someone out there finds it helpful, and I hope to do another test on really focusing on disturbing the mycelium on these mushroom blocks with the same exact cut, but just scraping the mycelium and figuring out what is going to give us the best yield. And if disturbance really does play a key role in getting higher yields on specifically the pink oyster mushroom block.